All right, so I'm just going to walk you through a couple of the features you're going to use when you're doing your project. Mine has to do with like a catapult, like a trebuchet is launching a big, huge catapult typey thingy. And so this rock is going to go flying through the air according to the following uh, arc. And so like you can see, I'm pressing Y and then equals, and then I'm putting in the function that I'm given for my project. So 0.005 is part of mine. Then I'll put the X and square it. And then I'm going to add 1X. And it launches from 12 feet in the air. And so now I'm going to look at my graphic, and I just click on the graph. You can move the graph around, although it may be a little bit laggy on your iPad. So just be aware of that. You can make this drawer go away by clicking on the double arrow. And so there's some really cool features that Desmos uses. The first thing you're going to want to know about is that you can zoom in and out. The best way to do that is to just start by dragging two fingers together. You can zoom in just like you would on any web page, or zoom out like you would. My job, though, is to be able to see all of the relevant information for my graph. And so I'm going to zoom out until I can kind of see everything, scoot it over a little bit. And so now I have kind of like a graph that I can see pretty much all of the relevant stuff. Some of you may have to zoom out for quite a while to see the relevant information. You can also click on the wrench up at the top, and you can set the axes as you want. You can even label them. So I can put on the x-axis the label, whoops, let me try that again. I can put the label distance um, or distan. And then on my y-axis, I can put height, because that's what I'm talking about with my trebuchet. And so since I'm going to use this to present to other people too, I'm going to put it in projector mode so that all the lines get thicker and all the numbers get larger. It's a little bit easier to see. So now you see I have my axes labeled. Everything's looking kind of nice. The second really nice feature of Desmos that you should be aware of is that you can click for relevant information. So I'm going to click up here towards the top because mine asked me a couple of questions. First, it asked me what's the highest point in the air that the trebuchet's missile reaches, and so I'm going to click up here towards the vertex, and if I double click it, it's going to highlight it, and so it looks like it gets exactly 62 feet in the air, which is pretty remarkable when you think about it. You can also see that it started to highlight in gray some of the other important information I might be interested in, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And on these other intercepts here, and it's going to give me information that I can use to maybe solve my problem. In particular, the other question my trebuchet problem asked me was when does it, or how far did it go when it hits the ground, and it looks like it went 211.36 feet. Not bad for trebuchet, I guess. And so you can see all of that information pretty clearly when you click it on the graph, and then you can use it to solve the problem. What I'm looking at here when it comes down to it, is the actual arc of the flight of that trebuchet's missile. And so it's going to leave at 12 feet off the ground, fly through the air, get up to 62 feet off the ground when it's traveled 100 feet, and then keep flying until it hits the ground again. So you're going to do something similar, and eventually you're going to do some screen capping. When you screen cap it, you're going to do a couple of things. In order to be able to label things nicely, you're going to want to port it into Notability, which if you screen capped it is not too big a deal. You may find that it's useful before you get into Notability to go to your photos, and you maybe see some of the weird stuff I've got pictures of. I didn't check ahead of time. And crop it so that you only see the stuff that you're really interested in seeing. And so to crop it, I click Edit, and then click my crop button here, and I can kind of drag this down and get rid of some of the irrelevant stuff that doesn't help my viewer really understand anything about what's going on, so that I have a nice graph that I can put in my eventual presentation. And so then when I get back over to Notability, you can see, so I was working on the dolphin problem a little bit ago. When I pull it into Notability, I can add my graph. Stretch it out a little bit. You may find it useful to disable text wrap. That'll make it a little bit easier on you in some respects. And then I should be able to label some of this information like the vertex. And of course you're going to do it as professionally as you can. You can type it in to make it look extra nice if you want. But try to make it look as good as you can so that when you present it to other people via the electronic presentation, they have a clear idea about how you solve the problem and what information from the graph you use to do that.